Coming up, a Sad Styles production. Get into it!
And took some of my powers. If Kirby sucked you in,
There we go.
What power would he get?
Arthritis.
I think he would get the power of disturbing self-deprecation, because every time we ask you a question of like what video game power would someone get if they interacted with you, last week you said mayonnaise would if someone punched you, mayonnaise would fly out. And today you're saying that he would just get arthritis.
He would swallow me up and go, I feel terrible. Why do I feel so awful?
See, I like the idea that if Kirby swallowed me, he would also feel terrible because he would just turn inward.
Yes,
and he would be like, there's a darkness inside me and I don't know how to get it out.
But you know how like when he swallows somebody, he liked his appearance changes?
Yes.
Yours would make a lot of sense.
The mustache.
The little mustache.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, 100%. Little loafers. And he's walking around and you're like, oh, you swallow Mikey? Okay, cool. See you later. And he goes, I feel terrible. I'm like, I know. See you later, man. To the Retrograde
podcast where we remind you what you used to love and whether or not you still should.
My name's Andrew Bascom, and with me as always is the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself,
Kirby Airrideworth. I mean, Mikey Airrideworth.
Mikey Airrideworth. Oh my God, you're conflicted. They
both work.
Yes, inside of each person are two wolves, except inside of Mikey, there's a Mikey and a Kirby.
Well, Kirby. Okay, this is what happened. A lot of people don't know this about Kirby, and I hate to get so blue off the top.
Yeah, you do. Or pink,
which is what happened. Kirby and I, we were 69ing, and when that happens, you both eat each other. So that's how we became both Mikey and Kirby.
Snake eating its tail.
Snake eating its tail. Yeah.
There's a popular meme format where Kirby has a cute little butt.
Oh, yes.
And I can't not see it because you never see the backside of Kirby, right?
No.
You don't know. Maybe he's hanging sweet hams.
I've seen him run though. I've seen him sprint.
Oh, have you?
And
it's a dead sprint.
He sprints fast.
Wow.
Actually, this game that we're going to be talking about today is the first game in which he could sprint.
Yeah.
Which may be, hey, what a great time to introduce this week's game.
Absolutely. This is Mike Aaronworth. He's co-host.
Hey, what's going on? And I'm going to say to those of you who are new to the podcast, first of all, thanks for listening. Secondly, typically what we do on this podcast is take a look back at the games that we used to play when we were kids. Usually it's something we had in the Affinity Awards, one way or another. We rate and review the game as we remember.
Or a blood rival with a main character, one or the other.
We will get into my rival with Kirby in just a little bit. A rivalry he may not know exists, but I sure do.
Absolutely.
We rate and review the games as we remember them back when we played them as little kids. Then we play the game, play some of the audio and the video over on YouTube. Then we rate and review the game as it holds up in the modern day against the likes of modern games. This week's game, as we mentioned, is Kirby's Adventure. On the NES, the follow-up to the widely well-received Kirby's Dreamland on the Game Boy, a game that we had already done on this podcast.
Yeah.
Now, I want to say off the top that Kirby, I think, of all of the games and franchises that we've done on this podcast, ranks
the highest.
Highest compared to the retro score across the board. Think about, we did Kirby's Dreamland.
Yeah.
We didn't love it as kids.
Nope.
We did Kirby Superstar, which was one of the biggest surprises of this podcast.
Loved that game.
In fact, it was one of the higher rated games in this podcast's history. I think it was fantastic.
Wow.
That game obviously came afterwards on the Super Nintendo. This one on the NES, we'll see if we can fall somewhere in the middle. Sometimes what happens on the podcast is we go ahead in the franchise, and then when we dial it back to a past version, it doesn't review so well. But I think there's something about Kirby's mechanics that might bleed through a little bit.
I agree. Speaking of speaking highly of Kirby, do you want to get into why you hate Kirby? This is like, if you're new, if you're a long-standing D-pad, thank you, first of all. Thank you very much for your service.
Hello.
Yes, absolutely. Hello, classic Mikey response. But if you're new, you need to know that my co-host over there, Mikey Aaronworth, hates Kirby.
I would, if I can just interject here,
please,
to clarify, you are my co-host.
We are each other's co-hosts. We are 69ing off the hosting of this podcast.
Right.
Yes.
I am Mikey Andrew Enworth, and you are Andrew Bascom-Mikey-worth?
Bascomworth?
Yeah. That works. That was Bascom worth it to take that detour, and I apologize to our listeners. I have this.
You do.
Listen. I feel like everyone else made it personal. It wasn't personal.
It's professional.
Like Don Draper in an elevator. I didn't think about Kirby at all.
Until this goddamn podcast.
Flaunts
Kirby in your face all the time.
All I did was tell the truth. Like Will Smith in Concussion.
Yes, exactly. Very important.
What a podcast. And told everyone, Kirby is, I think, canonically like a foot or like 16 inches tall.
Right.
And that probably includes his weird ass red shoes.
Yeah.
He's a little like piece of bubble gum. And, you know, you see him in something like Smash Bros. And he does his little flippy shit and all that stuff. Everyone thinks that he's this big rough and tumble thing. Yeah. There's this whole segment of the community that I feel started to actively defend Kirby once I started to say he's a little piece of garbage.
Well, yeah, because, I think it started because you said I could kick the shit out of Kirby.
I think originally it started where I said that I think I could kick the shit out of Link. Because Link loses fights to Kirby, and Kirby is the dumbest piece of shit in Nintendo's history.
So Kirby was an innocent bystander to you shitting on Link.
Yes.
And then he's like, wait, what?
Well, because what happened is everyone was like, you may be able to beat up Link, but you cannot beat up Kirby. And I'm talking just fisticuffs. just two big boys slapping each other in the face.
Big boy slapping meat.
Big boy slapping meat. Yeah, and you know, friend of the show, Riley Little, who runs the Walmart Canada gaming Twitter account, often says, you know, Kirby is probably the most powerful Nintendo character of all time. He's a walking black hole.
And that must enrage you.
It's just not true. Yeah, okay. There's no way Kirby could beat me. Think about it.
Right.
When was the last time you ever saw something that was 16 inches big and thought, if it came down to it, I'm running for my life? Never, I bet.
Yeah, I don't know. If I pass a skunk, I'm like, oh.
Right, but if you had to fight for your life against
if I had to fight for my life, I'd rip that skunk in 3 parts.
You would
I would just tear it apart so easly with my hands.
I'd probably rip it into 4 a little bit quicker.
Yeah, you'd William Wallace it.
I would William Wallace it.
You'd quarter it
because I'm always walking around with the a horse. Ride like the wind, bullseye.
You're a good podcast.
Nay, nay, nay.
Horses, it's back.
Well, that's Horsecast. Wow, imagine being a new listener to the podcast, which, you know what, we probably have several of. I'm going to leave the Kirby's fighting thing to the side. It'll probably come up again. But I think it's important to bring up the fact that the reason we're doing this podcast is because Kirby Forgotten Lands comes out this week. If you're listening to this the day that this episode comes out at the end of this week. And, you know, a new Kirby game is always reason for people to get happy. It feels strangely, you know, as much as I've shat on Kirby, and I would if we were in a fight, I would flat out drop a deuce on him.
Right.
The more I have experience,
it's a good tactic. I like it. No, I'm sorry.
No, he's going to start sucking in. I'm going to drop trow.
I've always thought that if I woke up and someone had, you know, pranked me by putting me in an MMA fight that I was unaware of, and I woke up in the ring, I would immediately throw up on myself. And I would just go like, now let's do this. Now let's go, tough guy. And he's like, ugh. And you're like, I know. And I'm just doing like a very concerned face because I'm clearly pooping in the ring. And I'm like, oh, let's go. Let's fight. And he's like, ew, this guy's disgusting. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, here's the thing. If I'm in an MMA ring, regardless, at some point I'm shitting myself. I want to do it on my terms.
Instead of them killing me and it's the last thing my body does.
Exactly. My bowels will be released.
Yes, one way or another.
As I call in that moment, my bowels are a deep cut Bob Dylan song because they shall be released.
I just love the idea that I get knocked so unconscious. It's crazy, right? Like just, it's so unconscious. And the announcers are like, this is truly embarrassing for him and his family. Nothing could ever get lower. Oh, I think he shit himself.
You get knocked so unconscious that the next 3 days of your Outlook calendar just get deleted immediately. Like, sorry, can't do anything. Holy moly. But no, so I do want to say this, that I've come around a lot on Kirby. His games are great. I respect what he does.
Yeah. Because of this podcast.
Because of this podcast. Yeah. Seriously. Every time I go back and play it, as a kid, Kirby games, in spite of the fact that Kirby's Dreamland was notoriously almost criticized as being too easy, I really struggled with that game as a kid. I love that game.
But
going back and playing it, and the mechanics, as we noticed, were like, this game is very good. There are a ton of Kirby games that I missed along the way, but now we've got a new one coming to the Nintendo Switch at the end of this week, and I'm really excited for it. It's a little bit more open world, which, can be hit and miss for me, but it looks like open world in the way that I would kind of appreciate. You got Mario that came out, Super Mario Odyssey, which with a similar style that I really liked. And I think I'll probably give this one a shot. I just don't know when I'm going to get to it because we kind of talked about this off pod a little bit. I'm struggling to really sink my teeth into Elden Ring, not because it's a bad game.
Oh,
it's
interesting.
fantastic.
Okay.
But I just haven't had a ton of time to really sit down and play. Things have been kind of busy. And in spite of that, a new game just came out called Tunic. And it's a cute little fox.
Aww.
With the bushiest old tail.
Oh my goodness.
And
sounds nice.
It sounds so nice.
Yeah.
And it's an isometric perspective, which is
interesting.
I'm discovering Light Death Store and Hyper Light Drifter, my favorite angle in video games. And it looks like the graphics from The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
It's like kind of cartoony with the challenge of Dark Souls. And I feel like this game was made for me because I often get criticized for saying that Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening is a game that I prefer over Breath of the Wild. I understand why that's not a popular opinion, but I like a more streamlined, structured video game often.
Right.
But the graphics of that were amazing. I love the isometric games, and Dark Souls, that's my favorite. I'm almost tempted to play Tunic before I get back into Elden Ring, and I know I shouldn't.
Mikey. But this is another chapter into Mikey. We're bringing back all the classics here. This is another chapter into hashtag Mikey doesn't finish. And this is a game that you were so excited. Didn't we say in the most anticipated games of the year, Elden Ring was your number one?
I think it was my most anticipated game of the year 2 years in a row. Because we thought maybe it would come out last year, even though I was pretty convinced it wouldn't. But yes, it was absolutely my most anticipated game of the year. I weirdly didn't even know Tunic was coming out until I started to see the reviews. And now that it's out, I feel like I was just given a gift.
Yeah, and that gift is what? Obligation?
Less time on my hands. No, I will. I haven't downloaded it yet for that reason. I feel like I do need to get into Elden Ring a little bit more. I feel so much FOMO. Like, here's a story.
I'd love to hear it.
It's a good story.
Okay, thanks
It's
for
a true story.
Okay, that's important.
My friends after high school all went to one university, like one or two. In Canada, it's called Western.
Okay.
In Ontario, Canada. I went all the way out to East Coast Canada, Halifax, Nova Scotia. We would get back together in the summers and stuff, and all of my friends had grown together. They had inside jokes and all that stuff. They'd be doing their own things. I'd be out in Halifax wondering what my old high school buddies were doing. The FOMO I experienced then is not as strong as the FOMO I'm experiencing based on checking my Twitter feed and seeing everyone playing Elden Ring.
Wow.
I am so jealous of I just want to just fucking clear my calendar, like get knocked out in an MMA ring so bad that my calendar clears and I can sit down and play this game.
Put a bedpan down. Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
Exactly.
Don't have to go to the bathroom. So when everyone would get together in the summer and they'd be like, "Hey, did you hear about Coinsy?" And they're like, "Oh yeah," and Steve the Great, and you're like, and you're just sitting there like, "Oh, those sounds like cool people."
Dude,
they're like, "Yeah,
that is to a T what happened. Nicknames all changed.
100%.
My friend Robin, he's Beans now.
Beans,"
and he's still Beans.
Beans.
Andrew's not on board.
I don't think I'm on board on this.
Yeah, all this shit just changed, and but still, the amount of FOMO I experienced with that was less.
Is not compared to this bushy-tailed fox.
Not to the no, not the bushy-tailed fox. It's to see how much time people are spending with Elden Ring,
I see.
and how much like I really want to spend time in that.
But you know what would help that?
What?
Not buying Tunic.
Honestly, it would. But I have no control over that, Andrew. You know
do.
that.
No, you do, Mikey.
No, because I gave up Overwatch finally, and now my body needs a new addiction. And that addiction is buying games that I will not touch.
It's like quitting cigarettes and drinking 9 cups of coffee a day. And you're like, I don't know if that's better for you.
You know what it is for me is like some people get that dopamine rush when they like platinum something and they get that platinum trophy on lock. For me, it's Tunic has downloaded.
Yes.
That's the dopamine rush I get.
You just lay further in the couch.
Tunic is ready to play. Play now? No. What do you want to do? Go back to the PlayStation Store.
You holding the PlayStation button and turning it off like, oh, God, that was fantastic. Time to go to bed.
There is a game that you've been spending some time with.
I have.
So as an update for last week, you were saying you were likely going to get WWE 2K22. Have you gotten it?
Mikey, I downloaded it.
Oh, Andrew, that's
my
amazing.
eyes rolled in the back of my head. I've been playing it, and I have thoughts. First off, I want to say, rest in peace, Scott Hall.
Fuck, yes.
I just, you know what? we
record. We should say, if you didn't hear last week's episode, we recorded it before the news of Scott Hall. So the best we could do was add a little preamble to the episode.
We played WWF WrestleMania, and that was kind of the precipice of why I was talking about why I wanted to play WWE and doing things. And Razor Ramon was a huge character in last week's game. And by the time we'd recorded and the time that the episode came out, he had a horrible thing during surgery and passed away. And we didn't get a full chance to eulogize him, but he just, I can't begin to express how great Scott Hall was a wrestler and how much he sold that hero in the ring to Mikey and I as kids. And so it was just a devastating loss for us. So, just horrible timing with the game coming up, but it gives us an opportunity to talk about it. So
absolutely.
I think for anything like that. So, Scott Hall, one of the best.
Is he in WWE 2K22?
Yeah,
of course. And do you play as him a lot?
You can. But then again, what's funny? There was a moment I'm like, oof, Razor Ramon, that's kind of rough. Feeling weird about it.
Right.
But then you look up and down the wrestlers, and half of them are dead.
Oh, of course.
It's half of them are dead. And you're like, well, okay.
Is Eddie Guerrero in it?
Eddie Guerrero is in it, and one of my favorite wrestlers.
I hear that one of the most unstoppable characters in that game is Chris Benoit.
No, he's not in that game.
Oh, he's not in that game?
No, he's not in that game, and all his moves have now been renamed, so you have to kind of find them again.
Really?
The diving headbutt is, I forget what it is, but yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's, what a story.
Yeah. What a story. I actually do want to tweet out a link to an incredible obituary that was written about Scott Hall from The Ringer. It makes you believe that you can do a little bit more. So that it's just a really cool article. So I'm going to tweet that out.
Makes you believe you can do a little bit more.
In the position you're in. The way that he was just a wrestler to us, right? But the way that he was able to sell being a wrestler, sell other people, I just thought it was really, really cool.
Amazing.
So, we'll talk about that. But WWE.
Yes.
It's better than previous games. It's still not great.
Really?
So it's not, the problem is the basement to the expectation level is so low.
Sure.
Right?
Based on WWE 2K20.
20, because they missed a year.
Yes. Which was so bad that they, as you mentioned, took a hiatus from making wrestling games.
Absolutely. And so they, the problem was that you couldn't play matches. Everyone would just glitch out, you'd fall under the ring or something like that. I haven't run into any of those issues. So great. Good job.
Good.
It's playable. That's a good first step. But it's not spectacular. And one of the biggest things that I was really excited for it to come back was the My GM mode.
Right.
I just think it's so much fun. And it is a total inside job thing of you're aware that ratings
just
and
like
money.
9/11, man.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think that.
No, we've talked about that off pod. Oh, right. The cameras. So,
yeah. Let's not. Let's see. Yeah. Chris Benoit, 9/11, inside job in the last 5 minutes.
No, Chris Benoit did 9/11.
You know what? Yeah, I think that is it. I'm on board now again. Is that the My GMO? It's it totally takes back the curtain of wrestling in general, and it's about money and ratings and signing wrestlers and throwing them into matches that you got to build a feud for a couple of weeks, and now that is intensified.
That is fascinating to me. So as a GM, when you were explaining this to me, because I haven't played a wrestling game in a long enough time that the GM mode hasn't existed.
Okay,
so you're telling me that in the GM mode in WWE 2K22, you are like a Vince McMahon type, as we mentioned.
You actually get to pick a GM, like Stephanie McMahon or Sonya Deville. You get to create your own. So I just create me in a suit.
Amazing.
And you get to there's power cards. So there's health and stamina and
But is the kayfabe has been broken as
completely broken.
That is so cool that they do that.
Completely broken.
That's so cool.
This guy's a heel. This guy's a face. This is his fighting style. So cruiserweights are good against giants.
Right.
And that's a more interesting match. Oh, you can't have just only solo matches. You should throw in a tag team match on the card.
Interesting.
Things like
and
that.
Say you're the GM and you're talking to two wrestlers. I'm assuming there are scenes where that happens. Are they talking to each other in character? Or are you talking to them as hey, you have to win and you have to lose?
There is a communication method through it seems like text. And so Triple H will he's the guide for you to help you out. He's oh, I need to see this. And he'll give you goals every week to hey, Charlotte Flair is really tired. So don't play her this week. And you're okay, cool. There's not as much communication but there is promo segments that you get to use them for. So they get to self promote or to raise their popularity, or they get to call somebody out to create a rivalry. Okay.
But is the conceit broken that these guys are actually fighting each other, or is it aware that even that is kind of staged?
No, there's no. You don't rig the matches. You don't say who's going to win.
Oh, okay.
So they cool. You could simulate. You could play the match, and you can kind of in that way determine what's going to happen.
Oh, that's neat.
But you simulate it otherwise, and so there's been times where I'm not playing this match. So man, I really need Finn Balor to win, and you're oh, we lost. Shit. What am I going to do with the belts?
So that I like. I was almost worried that they would break kayfabe too much.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, like you got to go in there and lose this fight.
Totally.
And then,
Yeah, like I'm building him up in a rivalry, so I'm going to, but I need the other guy to take a week off because if they just fight 4 times in a row, it's not going to be interesting.
Right.
So I hope he keeps his belt. He lost, and you're like, oh shit, now what do I do? It is interesting, but it's still slightly limited. You can only have solo matches and tag team matches. Okay, no 3-way matches,
Whoa.
no like. In that mode only.
Okay,
in that mode only.
Yeah,
in the normal game, there's, I don't know, hundreds of types of matches and stuff like that. So it's still slightly a bit limited, but it is a lot of fun. I love that amount of control. You could sign all these like legends to come in and do stuff on a 5-week contract.
How quickly do the legends become available? Because the only way I would get this game, because I haven't watched wrestling in forever, the only way I would get this game is if I have almost immediate access to like Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon.
I will say, so in a match, so like each of the wrestlers you have to buy them for 1,000 in-game units, right?
Oh, okay.
But by doing a single match, you get 500 of those units.
Oh, great.
So, like put in a couple of matches, you can buy the person you want.
And are the matches fun? Like how does the gameplay stack up to like WCW versus NWO Revenge?
So it's changed a lot in the way that they're aware that it's entertainment. So it's not always about winning, even though winning is good and you get more points or dollars or whatever it is for it. There is a star meter in the top left of the how good the match is. And the match is good because you're doing varied types of moves. You're not spamming the same button.
Oh, wow.
There's a back and forth. There's lots of finishers. There, you go outside the ring. Oh, it goes up a little bit higher. There's drama to it. So they're aware that it's an entertainment.
I almost have difficulty picturing what that would play like. Like if I'm playing you, not in GM mode, if you and I are just playing, the goal is to win, right?
The goal is to win because you get more points that way too. But it also, if it's just like a complete squash, maybe that's not the most entertaining match.
Shit.
And then, whatever.
So you take risks as one of the wrestlers to be like, I'm going to let this guy beat up on me a little bit.
Or I'll take bigger chances.
Right.
I'll throw him outside and then try and jump from the top rope, but that might not work. And then,
that's great.
It is great. You know what? Actually, to be honest, considering we've been talking about this long, let's go over to the Mushroom Club and play it together.
I would love that.
Okay.
I would absolutely love that.
Absolutely. So in the next couple of weeks, you'll see us talk about this and play this. I've created a Mikey character like we talked about. So we'll maybe take that to video too. It'll be
That's amazing.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
One thing we should say before we move on about the Mushroom Club, patreon.com/retrograde podcast, is we're planning a very exciting sports bracket.
Yes.
It's going to be the best sports games of all time. We're starting with as many as we can think of. We've got them into 4 categories. We've got arcade and simulation and 2 subcategories in each of those of current and retro games. So you've got current arcade, current simulation, retro arcade, retro simulation. And we're going to be pitting them against one another to find out what ultimately is the best sports game of all time. Super excited to do that. It's going to take place over the course of 3, maybe 4 episodes. Yeah. We'll see how it goes.
In honor of March Madness. It's March right now. We're going to be finding out what's the best sports game of all time by doing a bracket.
Super excited to do that.
So yeah, patreon.com/the Retrograde podcast. Kirby.
Talk about segues.
Guys, you're the segue guy.
Yes.
I'm the inventor of the segue that wrote it right off a cliff.
I almost appreciate your way of doing it so much more. Just like, now we're going to talk about this. Because it's so convoluted it's convoluted when anyone makes a segue. And you know why that is? Because anytime someone makes a good segue, people are like, that was a good segue, which is completely the opposite of what
if it's a really good segue, you wouldn't even notice.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like if we were talking about wrestling, I'm like, we need to swallow this topic for a second and talk about Kirby. People would be like, oh, very good. Yes. All right. Very good.
That is pretty good, actually. But when it comes to swallowing, this was actually the first Kirby game that allowed for swallowing and copying.
Really?
That was a good segue.
Whoa,
even though we were talking about
that is a good segue.
Right? See, if I didn't say it, then it would have been, because now we're like fucking talking about it.
Now we're just going.
Now we're just fucking going. Wait, what did I say again?
Swallowing and copying.
What? Where was I going? Oh my God. Where was I going?
Segue right off the cliff.
So I do want to talk about some of the differences between Kirby's Adventure and Kirby's Dreamland, which we already did, obviously, almost a year apart. And this, obviously coming on the NES, had a little bit more hardware to work with. However, Kirby's Adventure was a game that was made and designed for the NES. Development started 8 years into the NES's life cycle and came out 10 years after the life cycle, where it came out into an environment where the SNES had already been around for 3 years. This game came out in May 1st in North America of 1993. 1990, the SNES came out.
Yeah.
So like imagine another year from now, a PS4 exclusive comes out.
Yeah.
And in this case, Kirby's Adventure was actually on the top of the sales charts in May of that year.
That's crazy.
Imagine a PS4 game that is only for PS4, comes out a year from now and is top of the charts.
It's almost hard to believe too, because like right now everything is so like every PS4 game is PS5 game and stuff like that.
This is kind of the worst generation to use that as an example.
It's almost hard to understand how big of a deal this would be.
Yes.
You're like, oh, I guess I gotta, I'll pull up my Nintendo.
It would be more of like, because when the PS2 came out to the PS3, that jump was a much more of a rift. Like 3 years into the PS3's life cycle, all you were getting on PS2 was like the budget version of a movie game that no one wanted to play. Like one of the Lego games would have made it there or something like that. Not to shit on the Lego games, but this game was developed by HAL, published by Nintendo, directed by the great Masahiro Sakurai of Smash Bros. Fame. Now, listen, I don't want to start any conspiracies.
Except for the few that you floated already.
That's not a conspiracy. Chris Benoit did 9/11.
Did a 9/11.
He completed on 9/11 at least one.
That we know of.
Yep. What about the ones
keep looking though.
Keep looking.
Can we keep finding?
He just keeps on doing them in the afterlife too. Just can't get rid of him over there. One day we're gonna wake up. He's gonna be back on Earth. God's gonna be like,
really?
Don't need this guy.
Oh my God.
He keeps on committing 9/11s all over the place. Get him out of here.
Enough of this.
Get him out of here.
Scamp.
We look at God and we're like, what are we supposed to do with it?
If you couldn't handle it, oh my God.
He's like, just think of him as the second coming. He's my son. I just fucking do what you will. We would crucify that bitch. We'd send him right back to daddy.
So good, yeah. Second coming would make sense. The world would end. It would be like, oh, he's back. This is good. Okay. It's been a nice ride, everybody.
I know one world that would definitely end. Wrestling entertainment. The world of wrestling entertainment. So I mentioned Masahiro Sakurai of Smash Bros. Fame. I don't want to start any conspiracies. However, Kirby, very powerful in Smash Bros. Sakurai,
I see the
time to kill your
connection
darlings.
Yeah.
Is that how you use that?
No, but all right, let's just keep going with it.
Still, kill your darlings.
Just kill your darlings,
Do like God
regardless.
does. Send them to Earth, and we'll kill them for you. So I also found this pretty impressive because it was produced by Satoru Iwata and Shigeru Miyamoto. And imagine, Sakurai is no schleb, right?
Schlep.
Sorry,
you said no schlep.
Right, schlebs kill their darlings, and I don't know how to make any of this work. I do kind of think though that it would be an incredibly intimidating experience being Sakurai and having Iwata and Miyamoto over your shoulders looking at you. Like how in your right mind do you sit there in front of a screen with a giant pink circle or a tiny pink circle with two shoes as two of the greatest video game developers of all time stand behind you and think, I'm doing a good job. You've got to be so self-conscious.
Oh, absolutely.
The balls on this guy.
Massive balls.
Massive balls.
Good for him.
So I one of the more interesting development portions of this game is when when Kirby's Dreamland first came out on the Game Boy. Obviously monochrome. Kirby was white. And on the cover, Kirby was white. And in the NES, when they had some colors that they could work with, Sakurai made him pink.
Yeah.
And said that that he had always intended Kirby to be pink. And every time you read about that, the next sentence is everyone around him was very surprised at this.
He didn't tell anybody.
No, it's just like, no, that he's pink. But what I don't get is like on the cover of Kirby's Dreamland, he's white.
Yeah.
He looks like Boo.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Too spooky.
Way too spooky.
I don't like it.
Way too spooky.
It is a ghost that eats people. I don't like it.
Oh, yeah. Pick one or the other. Either the ghost tries to eat you and you skip right through it, or it's a cannibal that eats me, but it's human, therefore I'm not afraid of it.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I didn't even think about that.
Can't be both.
Can't be both. No, you got to pick one. Pick a lane.
It's like the Superman of horrors. Like, what? You have ice breath and laser eyes? What the fuck 100%. Are you doing?
Yeah, it's like Michael Myers that can get into your dreams as well. No, wait, you pick one. No.
That would be scary as shit.
Well, that's Freddy.
No, I know, but like you can't be both. I'm saying it would be too scary.
You got to be either a monster that is unkillable, or what's up?
Here's a bracket,
okay,
which we actually could do a bracket like this in one of our scary months. Mike Myers,
one of our scary
Jesus Christ. Mike Myers, Jason beat Freddy. We know that in Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah.
Would Mike Myers beat Jason, or would Jason beat Mike Myers?
Mike Myers, the comedian. You're saying Mike Myers?
Yeah,
Michael Myers.
We're close.
Would Michael Myers beat Freddy? If this is like a tiger versus a bear argument, because like if Michael Myers touches Freddy, he's dead.
Which is what happened when Jason touched him.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, is Freddy third in the power rankings there?
I think probably. Unless, and we don't know. Does Mike Myers go to sleep? Does Jason go to sleep? Because if they do.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Do they go to sleep?
What would Jason's nightmare look like?
Oof. We need to watch this movie, I think.
I think we do.
Yeah, because he was like dead under a lake for a long time. So you imagine he was probably hibernating.
I think it would be he would have very pleasant dreams.
You do?
I don't think he thinks he's killing people. I think he thinks he's like spreading joy and like waving ribbons at them, but it's his machete.
Oh, wow. That's dark. It's like a Harley Quinn type thing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. I think he's trying to get vengeance on the camp counselors that were bullies to him at Camp Crystal Lake.
You may think
That's
that.
what his mother's doing, I guess.
That's what his mother's doing. Yeah, Jason, that's a whole different thing. But speaking of dreamscapes, we could talk
I really was thinking hard about that.
It's a good one. Maybe for the Mushroom Club down there at some point.
Yeah,
let us know which other evil villains you want us to talk about. And we're not talking about Chris
Kirby.
Benoit.
Oh, okay.
Kirby as well.
Yeah.
Evil villain. So the story here, and this has always fascinated me. Like, how do you write a serious story about a small pink thing? The story is that Kirby has to repair the Star Rod after King Dedede breaks it and gives all of the different pieces of it to his various minions.
Okay.
Now, that is a premise that only exists in fantasy and fiction.
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Again, it's always that. It's break it up and give little pieces of it here and there. Try doing that in the real world.
Yeah.
If I take your PS5 and I break it and I give pieces of it to my minions, all I'm going to have are really angry minions that now have someone coming after them.
Yeah, that's true.
I put them in a really shitty situation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I don't like that. Yeah, they would be, where's the positive for them?
No, I can't imagine it's anywhere. They got a piece of rubble that they have to defend against you, who's mad about the one thing you lost.
Right.
And the nothing that they've gained.
Yeah, you got like John Wick. Like, what if they cut up John Wick's dog and just gave him parts? And John Wick's like, well, got to kill y'all now. What am I supposed to do with this quartered dog? That were probably quartered by horses.
Horses!
Horses!
Ride like the wind, bullseye.
You're a good podcast.
Nay. Horsecast. Always love a good horsecast. We're making up for lost time in this one. So that's the story of it. I don't know whether the story ever really means anything or makes much sense here. But
well, like, honestly, get at us at Retrograde Mikey, at Retrograde Andy. Is this like? Do you play this game like, man, I need to find the scepter because of like King Dedede is like. Do you have an opinion on King Dedede?
When you were a kid, no. First of all, a lot of people love King Dedede, but I think that is because of the Smash Bros. Iteration. Like, I think that's why you develop an affinity towards him. Did you ever pay attention to these side-scrolling stories when you were playing them as kids?
No. Like, they're very basic for a reason because it's hard to get like super invested into like, oh, the Princess Nether Castle.
Yes.
Like, it's inevitable and it's not surprising.
It's
in
a
any
means
way.
to an end, basically.
100%. Like the fact that they even put that much story in there is surprising.
Right.
You know,
right.
like the breaking up of the rod. What did you say? Scepter?
The Star Rod.
Star Rod.
Another item in Smash Bros. Sakurai. Come on, man. Get some new ideas, buddy. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
He had some new ideas for this game. Obviously, I mentioned running. It's the first game that he can run in. He can do the slide kick. He can release a puff of air to damage things. He can do the copy. So really, this is kind of the first iteration of the Kirby that we know and love. Dreamland was almost more of a proof of concept, but this gave Kirby a lot of those identity elements that we know him for. And I was thinking about it. There are so many gimmicks in games and gameplay mechanics that are copied all over the place. Copying an enemy is something that still isn't done very often. It's still kind of original. And this is something that originated in the 80s.
I think it's part of the reason why when we go back and play these Kirby games, they are standing out so much is because they're not so repetitive. It hasn't been beaten over the head where you're like, oh, right. No, it's still super unique.
Right.
And fun to play because there's nothing like Kirby.
Exactly. It feels in a nutshell, and the gameplay feels... You know how we talk about how a lot of older games, the difficulty is not in playing the game, it's in playing the controls. It's managing the controls. Like Batman a few weeks ago was kind of the same way. Batman controlled pretty well. But there are a lot of those games. This one feels like the controls are tailored, or the difficulty is tailored around the controls, but the controls also work very fluidly.
Right.
So you never feel like the reason you're dying is because the controls weren't good enough to get you to do what you wanted to do. And that involves changing the pacing of the game, giving you a certain amount of power, but not too much. And it feels like these games were always very balanced. Granted, this is one that they wanted to make more difficult because of the criticism of Kirby's Dreamland. We'll see how well that plays into this one. but it was received very well. Game rankings 84%, which is pretty good. You know, it's not going to break the bank.
Okay.
But EGM gave it an 8.25, GamePro a 20 out of 20, Famitsu a 33 out of 40, and Official Nintendo Magazine back in 2009 rated it the I mentioned this at the top of the episode, 69th best Nintendo game of all time.
Mikey, that is incredibly nice.
That is incredibly nice.
Oh my God.
Andrew, that is so fucking nice.
So nice. 69 has come up a lot in the show.
It has.
Wow.
We should do an episode where we're 69.
Yeah.
If we get enough people to our Patreon account, we will do a whole episode where I've got a microphone in my crotch.
Yes.
You've got one in yours.
I honestly will do that. I would 100% do that. I am shameless when it comes to this.
100% do that. Hit us up. Make us go viral.
Patreon.com/Retrograde Podcast. Podcast 69.
Now, did you play this iteration? Did you play this Kirby game?
I did play this Kirby game.
I did as well, and this one kind of stood out to me. It wasn't as iconic to me, I think, as the Game Boy version, Kirby's Dreamland. And I think that's probably because I was already struggling with Dreamland on the Game Boy, as I mentioned earlier. And then a harder, more complicated version comes out. I had this hesitance to play it because of the original, so I didn't give it a ton of time. I had a fair amount of time with it. But again, this goes back to like my great shame of Kirby games, not having given them the time of day because I just didn't understand them as kids. And I would, we'll get to it in the ratings, but if you had enough experience, like what was your experience playing this game?
This isn't the Kirby game that stands out,
right?
We talked about it previously, so that I got to keep that kind of in mind a little bit while eventually rating these games.
Yes.
That the Game Boy version, that Kirby's Adventureland, excuse me.
The Game Boy was Kirby's Dreamland.
This is Kirby's
Adventure.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Kirby's Dreamland. That's the one that I like when I think about Kirby. That's the one that I really think about. This one was like a nice primer to that.
Yeah,
where you're like, oh, okay, I get it. Oh, okay, I think I got it. So, but it wasn't my favorite.
Okay. And I had a similar experience. I think I played this one a lot with my brother as well. It was on the NES. We had already probably moved on. Yeah, we had moved on at that point to the Super Nintendo. So we were playing other things. It felt not really like a step back, though, because I feel like at that time you just played most consoles surreptitiously or simultaneously. Like it was kind of like you wouldn't really play one over the other. It was just what games were available. And obviously you want to play on Super Nintendo because the graphics are better, but that wasn't a deterrent. What was a deterrent to me was the difficulty and just the fact that I think it was, as a positive to the game, it was so different from other games that you played back then. But as a kid, that meant to me it was worse because different wasn't good necessarily. I didn't need variety in video games. I just wanted to be able to play them without worrying about dying every 3 seconds. Difficulty in video games was a big barrier for me. But with that said, do you want to get into our ratings of
let's do this.
Our memories of this game? So as we mentioned at the top of the episode, we're going to give this game a rating based on what we thought of it when we played it as a kid. It's going to be out of 4 bits, and then we're going to play the game and then come back and rate it in the modern day out of 4 bits against the likes of modern games like WWE 2K22, like Tunic, like Elden Ring.
Yes.
So why don't you lead us off, Andrew? What is your rating out of 4 bits for Kirby's Adventure?
Absolutely. Because I haven't played Tunic, so I think it's awful. So I think Kirby's better. You know what? Like I said, I really liked the Game Boy version of Kirby Dreamland. So in my mind, that was the gold standard of Kirby, and then everything kind of came after that. So I can't give this one an incredibly high score, even though I did enjoy playing the game, and I had a lot of affection for the character. It was so unique and so cute, and the way it kind of walks around with this cock of the walk type thing. Very, very fancy. He knows what he's ready to kick some ass.
Yes.
I loved Kirby, but the franchises were not one of my favorites.
Right.
So I can't give it an incredibly high score. And since I've already set the standard with a game that I also really liked, I'm going to give it a 2.5.
2.5. People are not going to like this because I'm right there with you with the 2.5. Now, what I will say about it is that, first of all, as we always say, our retro scores are very subjective.
Incredibly.
We're reviewing them as though we are children. Yes. It is our perception of the game back when we played it. And back when I played it, it was difficult. It was challenging. It was frustrating, confounding. In spite of that, at an early age, continued to come back to it, which I think says something about it. Although when you asked me what my favorite games were at the time, I probably would have said I don't like this Kirby game. I mentioned this with the Game Boy version. It gave me anxiety. There was something about Kirby that gave me anxiety because I think I assumed the challenge would be there. The tree in the Game Boy version scared the shit out of me.
It was a scary tree, though.
I loved making it cry. Hated when it threw apples at me. And that goes to most of my high school bullies, actually.
Okay, yeah. They threw a lot of apples at you.
Threw a lot of apples, and I loved making them cry. So I'm going to give this one a 2.5 as well, but keep in mind that is the retro score. We're going to take a break and play the game, and I have a feeling it's going to come back a little bit higher in the modern day, but who knows?
Who knows? If it's been like the last couple of Kirby games, yes.
Yes.
But we'll see.
I just hope it doesn't.
I think that's the anxiety thing, because the infinite amount of sucking in does unnerve me a little bit.
That is...
It makes me feel like I'm too full of air. Stop. You got to breathe.
I stop breathing.
Yeah.
Suck.
Okay. Yes, you stop sucking. Never going to happen. 5 out of 8 in our retro scores. Mikey, let's go play this game.
All right, we'll see you on the other side.
Look at the colors.
Hey, he's pink. He's actually kind of also more orange. Oh, look how cute Kirby is so cute. Why would I ever want to beat him up?
I've been thinking the same
See,
thing.
here's the thing.
Okay.
I think Kirby and I might be pals, but everyone else is pitting us against. We're like two grade school kids.
Who's
like,
pinning you?
I heard Kirby said this about you, and then someone says to Kirby, even though I wanted to say it behind Kirby's back,
You
like
wanted
a good
to?
guy.
That's not a good guy.
That's what a good person does.
No, that's not what a good person does.
Fine, you want me to say all the things I say behind your back to your face?
I don't know. Actually, maybe not.
See?
Point made.
All right, Kirby's Adventure, HAL Laboratory, Kirby 1 start, Kirby 2 start, Kirby 3 start. Which one do you want to do? Do you always go 1?
Yeah, I do. Man, am I boring?
You want to live on the edge a little bit?
You want to go with 2?
You want to go 3?
Oh my God.
Andrew.
We're getting crazy here.
Number 3. One thing is,
Yep.
do not fucking tell my parents.
Why? What's going to happen?
Do I have your word?
You got to give me some context to this. Why can't I
Never mind, we're going 1.
Oh my God.
If you're not guaranteeing it, we're going 1.
I feel like you're hiding something. Wait, he has a sword in this?
Vegetable Valley.
Something much more interesting is happening. Kirby has a sword.
Well, here's the thing, is he does if he swallows a sword carrying
Right.
baddie.
Yes. What do you think the size limitation on Kirby swallowing something is? Like, could he swallow a battle cruiser?
See, that's the thing. Everyone says that there's a black hole in his belly, but in Kirby's Kirby Forgotten Lands, in the advertisement for it, he can't even swallow a fucking car. So why am I that afraid of him?
Right, because I was thinking there has to be a limitation.
Of course there has to
Can
be.
he swallow a car and turn into a car?
Because if he's 16 inches and most of the enemies are his size, then there's 16. I can probably swallow something that's 16 inches. I know I can swallow something that's 8. I'm still kind of trying to get the hang of the controls, even though it was the NES. There weren't a lot, but already we've swallowed 2 different enemies, and the differentiation in their abilities are pretty significant.
I would say so. So like on the bottom, there's a little heads up display that has Kirby's health, the 6 points that I was talking about earlier, a score, a little really kind of cute designed card telling you what abilities you currently have.
Yes.
Right now it's normal, which is a good ability.
Yes.
And then lives right on the right of that.
What do you think about the way it looks so far?
I think it looks amazing.
It looks. How is this the fucking NES? You know what I mean? Like, it looks
I can't
so good.
believe how good it looks. I'm glad we're talking about this because it's so clean. It's just so clean. All the lines are so clean. The colors are so vibrant. You could see clear what would eventually be Mario references in this level.
Yes. I can see the difference between this and the SNES, but I am impressed with how this looks regardless. So it's sort of like, how in Mario you have the overworld map.
Yep.
And you've got the different little paths that you kind of go on to enter a level. In this, you enter doors. There's kind of an overworld, and you go into different doors. There are a variety of doors that'll get you against some mini bosses, some mini games. Like you're going to a mini game, Crane Fever right now.
Crane Fever.
Use the buttons to move the crane and try to get a Kirby. Get a Kirby.
Get a Kirby.
A big one's hard to get, but worth it.
So, okay, let's be real here. Is the species Kirby, or is Kirby an individual name on one of these species?
I think this is a wink to the camera moment, saying that you're getting a Kirby and it's going to be like a Kirby plush doll. It's Crane Fever, right?
Oh, yeah, okay.
So there you go, yeah.
Okay, so I got to move here. And then
you
I
press
can go
A to go down. So it's a typical Crane game, like in a
like an arcade.
Like in an arcade.
Ooh,
and
I got one.
Okay, way easier than a typical Crane game.
Oh no,
that was it. You only get one shot.
I got one.
Like
Kirby.
M&M. And you threw up all over your mom's spaghetti.
It's a prequel.
Yeah, why did he throw up his mom's spaghetti? Because he threw up on his mom's spaghetti before.
I threw up all that threw-up spaghetti.
I really like the copy ability. It's almost hard to imagine playing this game without the copy ability, like we did on the Game Boy version. I think this is a boss you're facing.
This is a boss, and I am sitting there.
Accidentally stood in the perfect area where it couldn't hit you. You know how there always is that moment against the bosses?
I had the fire ability, and I landed right in front of him and just unleashed holy hell onto this guy.
Boy, did you.
So interesting. A nice, kind of cool health bar again for the boss. I thought that was really good.
That you got a full health bar.
Well, no, seeing their health bar right under ours. I just thought it was like a kind of really cool way to display it.
So Andrew's now in a little underground cavern area. I think you could try to fly up those little spaces because you can just fucking fly in this game.
Yeah, every once in a while you forget that you can just fucking
fly.
Oh,
like imagine. Oh shit. Imagine being a pilot and one day you're like, oh, I'm so bored. I don't know what to do. And then your friend's like, you can just
fucking fly.
You can fly anywhere.
Yeah, you're a pilot. Just don't sully it.
Do you think don't sully his good name? Do you think pilots play all video games with pilot controls?
If they don't, they're liars. Or they're bad at their job. Oh, no.
So Andrew just got hit and lost what was a very seemingly dominant ability that
should I go get that?
Yeah, there's a tomato at the bottom, which will give you full health. You're pretty close to full health, but now you're gonna need it. Now you're gonna need it. So when you suck someone in, you got to press down to take their power.
Oh fuck!
I think Andrew failed at getting the little mushroom or the tomato. Tomato as a power up, I like it more than turkey.
You like
almost. More than turkey.
Oh fuck me! What did I do?
So
there?
Andrew, as a thing that can fly, fell into a spike pit, which feels like you have got no one to blame but yourself on that one.
Mikey, I have no one to blame but myself. Light that guy on fire!
Light him on fire, Andrew!
Burn, Kirby says, burn! My enemies will burn!
I do feel like for as smiley as Kirby is, he probably is also an enormous psychopath.
Oh my god, yeah. It doesn't look like he has any remorse or regret from consuming people and taking their souls.
But why would you?
Which I assume that's what it is.
Because they're trying to do it to him, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's also true. It's a eat or be eaten world, literally and figuratively.
Yes.
How did they end up on the name Kirby?
It was actually based on the lawyer that fought the Donkey Kong lawsuit.
Yeah, okay.
His last name was Kirby. And he honestly looks like Kirby looks.
You know, every time that we go like, Nintendo is maybe one of the most creative companies that's ever existed. We start basing it on like, well, Mario was a landlord and Kirby was a lawyer. We were in the Empire State Building when King Kong attacked, so we just went with that.
Oh,
Needle.
Whoa, yo, that animation. So that is really fucking cool.
Awesome.
So we sucked in a kind of a needle monster, and the specialty is Kirby now crouches down and becomes a needle. You know what I find most impressive about this game, especially being on the NES?
Wow, that was cool.
Is the fact that I think there are like 40 total power-ups in this game.
Wow.
But you think the first iteration of
what the fuck?
The first iteration of a game that allows you to mimic other things would be like, here are the two that you can do this game.
Yes.
This is just constantly changing. It seems like there's something for every bit of trial and error.
It's Chester Cheeto. Oh, Mikey, it is your infamous tree. Oh, and it is pissed off.
I'm just going to spark it the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
It's got nothing on me.
Suck it, tree.
Wow. Thank God we had Spark. Spark fucking annihilated that.
It is like rewarding you for staying committed to these ones.
Yes.
Oh, Dancing Kirby's, yes. Love it.
I made the tree cry, and I felt really good about it. Level 2 is Ice Cream Island, and what a gorgeous island that is.
Has a cocktail and sunglasses, and now he doesn't have it, and he's pissed off.
He's living his best life.
He really is. I'm really proud of Kirby.
This game is great.
This game is really good.
This game is great.
This game is really good. I'm kind of blowing my mind a little.
I kind of can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, you want to talk about it?
Do you want to talk about this game?
Let's talk about it. Oh my god. And welcome back to the Retrograde. Whoa, I'm being sucked out. Oh my god.
What would you do if you were like, hey, I'm doing the Kirby thing, and your webcam just went into your mouth?
Started working? Yeah, just like started, oh no, I've got this power.
And I would turn into a webcam.
I would turn into a webcam.
Well, in that case.
Right. Is that how I become a big brother?
Yes, that's what it means. My big brother had a webcam on his forehead.
Right.
That's how I knew who he was.
That's the true third eye.
The true third. Yeah, the pineal gland.
Yes.
I don't think so, Joe Rogan. It's a webcam.
You got to swallow a camera.
Yes.
That's how it happens.
If Joe Rogan recommended it, though, a lot of people would do it.
A lot of people would do it. Everyone eat your webcams. There you go. That's all it is.
Not the rich. Don't eat the rich.
No, don't eat
your
rich.
webcams.
Yes, especially Joe Rogan accumulating wealth. He's like, don't eat the rich anymore. Webcams, though, good source of nutrition.
Some webcams very expensive though. So listen, you could 2 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah, exactly.
Kirby could suck up 2 birds, 1 stone, and then have room for dessert.
I was actually shocked you could swallow 2 people at once.
It felt like I think maybe you couldn't do that in Kirby's Dreamland,
Right.
and that was why it surprised me. But a lot surprised me about this game. It was so much bigger of a game than I ever would have expected. You know, when we're thinking about a game to do in honor of Kirby Forgotten Lands that's coming out at the end of this week, it sounds like we're sponsored by it. We're not, but if you want to sponsor us, Nintendo, you know where to find us.
Yeah.
The
If whether to sponsor or for a Rumble, you know where to find us. It's like such a threat. You know where to find us if you want to give us money, or if you want to fight Kirby, you know where to find me.
Kirby knows where to find me, and that's why he's a coward. He hasn't come. I don't know where to find him. No. Do you know where Kirby lives?
No, a Forgotten Land.
A Forgotten Land. I did know it at one point. Yeah. No, when we were thinking about a game to do to kind of celebrate the release of the new Kirby game, and I realized because I don't think consciously knew that Kirby's Adventure was on the NES. I always assumed it was an SNES game, just based on my memory of it. When I found it was on an NES, I'm like, this is going to be potentially tragic because we have such a good track record with Kirby. But goddamn, playing this game, it felt like every enemy gave you an ability that not only gave you an action on screen, like the mechanics of it were way more varied and visceral than I would have expected. But the animations were phenomenal.
It looks like an SNES game.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I can't believe the design, how good it is.
It looks so much better.
It is the biggest thing that I keep coming back to is this game is clean.
Yes.
It's just clean. Like, you know exactly where everything is. You can work within the physical space.
Yes.
The actual physical like skills that you have work.
Yes.
I couldn't believe how clean this game is.
The first time I got like one of the first abilities where you swallow like just a nothing, like one of the minor Kirby characters.
Okay.
And you're
literally a nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, actually, I thought they were called a nothing.
Okay.
But that was just because I swallowed an enemy and it said the card that shows you what your specialty is said nothing. And I was like, that thing's name was a nothing. I was wrong.
Can you imagine King Dedede?
Mea culpa.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad. You're putting your head under the knife. Very good.
Yes.
But he said, if King Dedede is like, okay, you are the arsonists. Oh my goodness. Absolutely. You are the cavalry. Oh my goodness. You are the nothings. And it's like, I don't think we're going to survive this war, brother. Oh no.
But they are so necessary.
They are.
I mean, it almost seems like King Dedede should have not populated his lands with those guys. Because they only gave us the ability to get new abilities.
Yeah, we're getting stronger because of that.
Way stronger because of this. King Dedede did not think this one through. Also, his first major boss, just a tree. Just a tree. What's his attack? You got some apples.
Absolutely. Or the other boss that we face where he just give me strength. Way to go. There you go. Like if the opponent, like you're like, I don't know, a Batman villain or something like that, and you're just like, I will give you bangerangs.
Yes.
It's like, too many bangerangs. That's the weight of it. No, you're going to give, oh my God.
Batarangs, by the way.
Oh, yes, batarangs. Yes, of course.
No, but based on that first enemy that
Rufio.
Rufio from Hook.
From Hook.
A great movie, I hope.
Yes, I don't think it is.
I don't know if I want to go back and watch it.
No, because at the time it was a severe disappointment unless you were a child.
Yes, exactly.
Like, they were like, Steven Spielberg's going to make a movie with Julia Roberts. Like,
yes.
Oh my God, it's going to be amazing. And then they're like,
Were people disappointed? Because as a kid, I fucking loved it.
As a kid, I loved it too. I saw it so many times at theaters.
Oh my God.
But no, I think it's actually like regarded as kind of a disappointment.
Oh, that's really disappointing to hear. But whatever, it lives in my memory, and that's the only place it needs to be good.
Exactly. I just hope no one starts a podcast about movies and going back to what you thought was good as a kid and then what you do today.
Oh, Andrew.
Oh no.
Oh, Andrew.
Oh no.
I don't think that's going to be the case this game though. Because
that's just going to kill our retro flick future podcast that we were going to start.
The first enemy that I swallowed, and I got the attack where you're kind of like shooting out some pellets in front of you in like a wide sweeping motion.
Like a lawn sprinkler.
Like a lawn sprinkler.
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
Like I'm sprinkling lawn pellets.
Mikey and I are both doing hand motions. Go to YouTube to find out what hand motions we're giving.
It looks like it's the 7th inning stretch and I'm the Atlanta Braves.
Yes, that very problematic thing that they will refuse to get rid of.
I know.
God damn it.
But I was like, this must be a mistake because this is absolutely an overpowered ability.
Yeah.
It's not.
No.
The game, I don't know that I'd call it hard. You know, when we're talking about how Sakurai wanted to make this a harder game, we didn't have much difficulty. No. I know it gets harder as you go on, but I felt like it was a casual romp through a...
Sounds like a reviewer. What a casual romp I had with this game.
It's also whenever I break up with someone. Well, you knew this was just a casual romp, didn't you?
You got to confuse them with big words.
Yes, exactly.
You knew what this was.
A casual romp if I've ever seen one.
This was a serious commitment. This was a casual romp. How dare you?
It felt like kind of not a walk in the park, but like just an enjoyable adventure.
Formulaic in the best way.
Yes.
Traverse these lands, knock out these enemies, finish the level.
Like these Dreamlands.
These Dreamlands. Yes, of course. Yes. The Freddy Krueger special. Oh no.
Yeah, Kirby. Listen, if I'm in a fight with Kirby, guess who I'm going to help me out?
That guy in the basement, bitch.
I was surprised by this game, just thoroughly and constantly and consistently. And more words that will describe more C words. Fuck you. How dare you? You watch your mouth. Do you make out with your mother with that mouth?
It's thoroughly. Yeah. I don't like what we're doing here.
I'm going to clip that and send it to your mom.
Yeah, please do. Can't wait for her to close fist punch me in the teeth. That'll be great.
Did you enjoy this as much as I did?
I thoroughly enjoyed this. Not only is it you know, the actual, like I keep going back to the actual organic part of the game, playing it with a controller.
Right.
The controls, the way Kirby moves around is great. But then on top of that, there's this aesthetic of this visual that is so unique to this.
Yeah.
That I loved. Like it felt so different than Mario. And at times I looked at it and I'm like, well, this kind of looks like a Mario level.
Sure.
No. The added element of, you know, getting off the ground at the different types of opponents, which there are so many different types.
Insane
of opponents.
The enemy variety.
I loved it. I loved this game.
Especially for an NES game. You know what it kind of reminded me of, but almost more impressive, was something like Ninja Gaiden that has, it feels like it gets so much out of the NES hardware.
Yeah.
Where some games were just like every enemy is going to look the same and this and that. I don't think Ninja Gaiden was as elaborate, but it was very smooth. It was a very smooth game and a very mechanically sound game. This just felt like the breadth of the game was so much wider than anything else I played on the NES.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are examples of other games that got more out of it. But in my mind, I have kind of like parentheses around quality when it comes to what a game can be on the NES, and this exceeded that.
Yeah.
This, like we said earlier, almost felt more like an SNES game. And granted, it was 3 years into the life cycle of the SNES, so maybe they just learned how to get the most possible power out of the original NES console. But regardless, it's no wonder to me anymore why this game topped the charts in terms of sales the month that it came out, in spite of the fact that it was on an old system.
And you know what? And you'd sit there and go, well, I wonder what it could have done on the SNES. But like, to be honest, more is not always better.
I agree.
And the fact that this is like taught like a drum, like this is like, I don't know what you would change about it, to be honest. The music's awesome. It looks great. It handles great. Like, what are we missing here? Giving it more for what?
Yeah.
Like why?
And that kind of comes to when I'm sure we'll move into it when we get into our reviews of this game. I don't know what I would change about this game.
I honestly am trying to think about it.
It just feels like for a game that is definitely a lot bigger than Kirby's Dreamland, it feels like it is still a very tight experience.
Yeah.
Like, playing through all the stages or all the different levels in the first stage, then getting into the second stage in Ice Cream Land, it felt like...
Totally normal thing to say out loud.
I say this often. Kirby's on a beach drinking a marg. Yes. He's got his sunglasses on.
Sounds like heaven.
And his care level out the window.
Do you often go like, when I'm done dinner, I'm like, oh, it's time for Ice Cream Land? Is that so you do?
It's time for Ice Cream Land.
It's a nice summer night. I'm walking down the boardwalk. It's time for ice cream
That
land.
sounds amazing. You know what I was thinking recently?
What's up?
Because I passed by an ice cream parlor.
Oh, that's cool.
And I haven't had ice cream, just like an ice cream cone, in so long.
Really?
And it is, every time I get it, it is just, what a blessing.
What a treat.
I don't know why I don't do it more often.
I was going to say, you're robbing yourself of real joy, my man.
It is consistently one of the best treats in the world.
What's your favorite kind of ice cream flavor?
So I am a sucker for chocolate peanut butter.
Whoa.
Chocolate peanut butter, anything.
Wow.
I love a good chocolate peanut butter. But there's like for some reason, every podcast was advertising Ben and Jerry's Netflix and chill or whatever.
Yeah, Netflix and chill.
That was amazing.
I love that.
It was so good.
I love that flavor. It's broken up pretzels in there.
Yes.
It's so good. Salt on desserts, man. Turns out, so
it
good.
works. What's yours? What's your favorite ice cream?
I can't get away from chocolate chip cookie dough.
Okay.
But
another classic.
I like most things. What do you feel about mint chocolate chip? That's divisive.
That to me is like, it's got to be the same amounts as like a sorbet or a sherbet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Wait,
same amounts in what?
Like I only want the same quantity.
Oh,
I don't
little.
want. Yes, exactly. Mint
Gotcha.
chocolate chip, a little bit decadent for my taste.
I agree with you. I'm a real one scoop kind of guy. If it's 2 scoops, you're like, oh, decadent. 3 scoops, I'm like, nah, that's too much.
No, thank you.
No.
I get mad.
Just smack the top one right off
Get
the top.
that out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, I insert my dominance by grabbing it with my hand and squeezing it through my fingers. This is what I think of your third scoop.
That's what I would do to Kirby if we fought. I would grab him and he would just
see it squeeze through your fingers. Yes. Oh my God, that's so dark.
He looks like a scoop of bubblegum ice cream.
He does. He does look like he used gum.
He's got the personality of it as well. You know what? Do you want to get into our reviews of this game? So as we mentioned earlier, it was a 2.5 for each of us in the retro score. Combined score of a 5 out of 8 for the retro score.
Very good.
But we're going on an adventure here.
I'm very interested to see what you're going to do.
Currentsville.
All right, so I'll start. Like I said, I don't know where you improve this game. Maybe you make the levels a little bit longer. Okay, because our patience for these things is increased.
Sure.
And, maybe it becomes more of an endurance thing of like, I got to make sure I hold on to this enemy and my lives got to keep up and maybe my score becomes more vital. Okay, but it's not like we went from 40 abilities to 80 abilities and we're like, this is better. It probably actually gets worse.
Right.
I don't know where it improves. But that being said, the only reason I'm going to give this a 3.5 and not a 4 is just because it is very intimate. And the games that we demand, the things that we demand in the current 2022 is that more scale and scope to these games. But I really wouldn't change a single thing. I think this 3.5 is like, I will almost give it a 4. I almost gave it a 4.
I think that's fair. The one thing I'll say, you mentioned what we need in the current day is more and this and that. I think that's what you need. I think there's a demographic that needs more. I'm learning more about myself that I don't need more in a game. Make it tighter if that's your intention and that's all you give me. I am okay with that. I don't think I need to know much more about the story. I don't think I need to be able to have this be open world. I love the fact that the overworld is doors and it opens up as you go. Right. It's fun. It's silly. It's self-referential. There's a mini game where there's a crane game and there's just a bunch of Kirby's. There's some winks to the camera. There's some jokes. There's some laughs. Kirby's eating ice cream and drinking a margarita. I had such a fucking good time with it. I don't know what I would change either, and I don't think I want more or need more. Okay. And as a result, I have to give it a 4 out of 4.
You're giving it a 4 out of 4.
I got to give it a 4.
Wow. Oh my goodness, that's a 7.5 on our current score, and that's a 12.5 in our total score. Oh my God, that Kirby stays king.
Honestly,
again, Kirby stays king in the retrograde.
Take that crown off your silly old penguin-looking head.
Yeah,
you Colin Farrell-looking bitch.
Take your weird tuxedo-looking outfit and get the fuck out of here. What an asshole.
Holy hell, dude, that's a great score.
Combined, that's an amazing score.
12.5 out of 16.
Considering our tepid retro score.
Yes.
It's really incredible it got to 12.5. Man, Kirby stayed king. Like, that's awesome.
I still consistently think if you go back to any franchise, and now it has to be the case, any franchise we've ever done, which also, I think Kirby may be the franchise for which we've played the most number of games. But the disparity between the retro score and the current score is... It's enormous in this one because the current score really reminds me that I was a fucking idiot as a kid.
Yeah. I didn't appreciate what I had.
Didn't appreciate what we had, but I appreciate the awards that this game is about to get. And I think I see the red carpet being rolled up. It's actually coming out of Kirby's mouth, which is gross. That could be his tongue.
You swallowed a red carpet?
That's gross, but practical.
Yeah.
Very practical.
Yeah, you should get into a moving company. This actually is good. It's cool. All right.
Yes. Okay. I was going to make a local joke, but I will not. Instead, we will turn it over to the paparazzi.
You've been waiting for it all year. The most glamorous award ceremony of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, the Grady's.
What do you think, paparazzi?
What do you think, paparazzi?
What do you think? They're giving us thumbs up.
They're
They think
saying
this is good.
they're saying because they're looking like just like things that they've done in the past, and they're like, you should call us Papa Rochi because he's our favorite. He's our favorite singer.
Oh, they like Papa Roach?
Papa Rochi.
Oh, boy.
And I asked it, what came first, the love of Papa Roach or the love of paparazzi? And they say it was a misprint on the resume, and they just stuck with it.
They just stuck with
They just
it.
stuck with it. Because you get paparotis.
Yes.
Those are the people who travel with
Open beers?
when your dad just walking down the sidewalk. Look at Papa Rody over here.
Papa Roadie.
Oh
God.
Well, now it's time to figure out what awards this game won. Elliot, don't reach into your mouth. Oh, he's got the awards. in
That's
his
where he
mouth.
was storing it.
That's adorable, Elliot. So I guess reach down that gullet of yours and read off the awards that this game won.
He fits like an old glove compartment.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
And the wine cellar.
Whoa.
As it always is, it's time to try a drink from the wine cellar.
Oh, man. I think it makes sense because Kirby is canonically English.
Kirby is English.
Yes.
Of course.
Why
he is.
not? Like,
imagine.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Here's a sketch for you.
Okay.
Huh? You listening?
I'm listening.
SNL.
You listening, Lauren?
You listening? Mad TV. How about this?
Okay. Lay it on me.
Smash cut. You start with the smash cut.
Cold open.
Hold open. Smash cut.
Uh,
Smash Mouth is playing. Papa Roach in the wings, upset.
yeah.
Maitre d' comes over to the table. Bottle of wine. Best wine he's got. There's dust on it.
Wow.
It's you can tell it's old. Came from the Titanic. It was just hanging out there. Pours the wine. Everyone in the restaurant is looking because they know it's the most expensive bottle of wine. How do they know that? Sparklers in it. There's sparklers. There's sparklers.
People walked it out.
It's like a fajita tray.
Yeah, yeah. It's a fajita tray.
Pours a little bit of the wine. Everyone's
Oh.
all of a sudden
They're shocked. They're shocked that it poured the wine.
smash cut.
Yeah.
Kirby sitting at the table. He's got to taste the wine. Drinks all in the glass.
no, he drinks it all.
And everyone in front of him, all their tuxedos, all their ties fly into his
Yeah,
mouth.
yeah.
The maitre d' pans up to him. His toupee is
Oh,
off.
that's very funny.
Yeah, his
Fake tie.
fake tie.
Yeah.
It's clipped off.
Yes.
And he's sitting there, and Kirby says, "It's not. See, I haven't put a button on
No,
it
you
yet."
haven't been a button. But talk it out. Maybe we can all come up with
I'm thinking he says, tasted a little. I tasted a little bit like your hair.
It's got too much of a hair taste.
Take it back.
It's synthetic.
Take it back.
I'd say something, but my mouth, I'm tongue tied because he swallowed those ties.
Oh, true. Oh, hey, that's nice.
That's not bad.
He could say.
It's not great.
He could say. I ordered the barefoot.
Oh, okay.
Like
Right, because you ate so
much
much.
cheaper wine.
I was thinking, how about like there's a line to get to a buffet?
Yeah.
And this is more like a Far Side comic.
Okay. You listening, Arthur of Dilbert?
Yeah.
All those Thai jokes, and you're just gonna pretend like you're not here.
And the guy's like, I'm so hungry. And he's like, I wouldn't get too excited. Look who's in front of us. And the first one to get to the buffet is Kirby.
I like that
Thanks.
one.
I appreciate it.
And then smash cut,
Smash cut. Kirby's murdered.
which is easy to do.
Oh my goodness.
But holy hell! So we've got the fits like an old glove compartment where the current score is above a 7, and you've got the wine cellar where the current score is higher than the retro score.
Love it.
Canonically, my favorite award to give out.
Absolutely.
I love it. It
I love
shows
it.
that we are becoming smarter.
I love when we're wrong. I do. I love when we're wrong.
I love when you're wrong too.
Okay.
I mean, it's just my favorite thing on this podcast because then it's canonical. Then I can always go back to something, as I've done. Every time you're like, I don't know about that. And I'm like, are you sure? Because you seem pretty confident. Episode 63, when we were talking about,
And you were wrong.
you were wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, Kirby, every time we've gone back to play Kirby, it has been surprising in the best way possible.
I totally agree.
I'm so glad we played this game. Let's find more Kirby games to play. This has been great.
100%. And thanks for joining us on this route. Hey, if you're planning on picking up Kirby Forgotten Land, Forgotten Land, reach out to us at Retrograde Andy, at Retrograde Mikey, at Retrograde Pod on Twitter. We also have at the Retrograde Podcast on Instagram. It's been a long time since I've been there. But join us on all of our social media platforms. Hit us up, become part of the community, and also Retrograde, patreon.com/Retrograde Podcast. That's where you're going to get all of this extra content, including eventually a WWE episode and the sports draft, which I'm very excited to do.
So excited for that. So we love every single one of you, and we can't wait to talk to you soon. My name is Andrew Bascom, and with me, as always, is the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself,
Mikey Aaronworth.
This is the Retrograde Podcast.
Game over.
Want more Retrograde in your life?
You can visit our website for show notes at theretrogradepod.com. Follow us on Twitter at Retrograde Mikey, at Retrograde Andy, and the podcast at Retrograde Pod.
Or Instagram at the Retrograde Podcast.
For bonus episodes, check us out at patreon.com/theretrograde podcast.
Send your questions and business inquiries to the Retrograde Podcast at gmail.com.
See you next week, D-pads.
Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
You're blowing hot air, something Mikey is very used to.
Andrew, that's a good joke, but it's very hurtful.